Hi everyone from Giaco. After living over a decade in Finland, I decided to help building a bridge between the English-speaking people living in Finland and the local community. Listen to my podcast to discover the most interesting and incredible people from Finland and to dig into Finnish culture and controversial issues that impact all of us in our daily life. And now sit back and enjoy listening. Bye! Hi everyone. The following is a conversation with Kati Häkkinen. Kati is running for the EU Parliament election with the Centre Party, and with her we talk about her agenda, her values, but we also discover who she is as a person and how she sees Finland's situation at the moment, and why she is ready to work hard for a change. Kati is an energetic, self-driven person that shows a true passion for changes and stands behind her beliefs. Please enjoy. Hi Kati.
No, hello.
How are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Good to have you here. Can you please tell who you are so we start understanding why you're here and what's interesting about you?
So, my name is Kati Häkkinen. I'm a hotel owner in Thailand.
Cool.
And writer. My first publication was published in this January.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's actually it's about my life. It tells those 10 years in hospitality industry in different culture.
Yeah.
Far away from home.
Yeah.
And also now why I'm actually here, hopefully, I'm running to the European Parliament. I'm a candidate for European Parliament.
Yes, with the Centre Party.
With the Centre Party.
Really interesting. You are from Mikkeli.
Yes.
And you then have a long history of living abroad and working abroad in Thailand. How did this happen in your life? And what has given you, because it gives you for sure like a wide perspective of culture and working and something that it's in your in the theme of your campaign. It's equality, human rights, and women rights, and definitely you've seen things happening in different cultures in different ways.
Yeah, so I'm originally from this very tiny village, less than 3,000 people living there, called Haukivuori. All my friends we were hanging out with same people since we were 5 years old until we graduated from the high school. And that was the life, being a youngster. It was very safe.
A small box.
Small box. Not very much understanding of the life away. But for some reason, I don't know what it is in me, but since I remember, my favorite book was the Atlas Maps. I was just, in the evenings, I was, reading the book, reading the maps, wondering, using my imagination, how would different cultures look alike? What would they eat? How would they dress? How their life would be? And I never traveled abroad. My parents, if I remember correctly, they were like twice at the Canarian Islands, and they took their own coffee with them.
Yes, most likely.
Yes, exactly. I really did not have any experience to travel abroad, but I had my imagination. Okay, and then it was 1994 when we got, I think it was a group of 30 refugees from Bosnia. They came to live in our tiny, very
community,
very tiny community. And suddenly this small community became very international. We had to start, people were learning how to speak English, and even my grandfather, who said that I don't like foreigners, in about 1 year time, he said that only place where he eats his lunch is this restaurant that the Bosnian refugees started up. It was just, everything changes in my home village. people's mentality. And I was 14 that time. So, of course, that had a huge effect on me. But same time, in Finland, in general, we started to talk about taking part to European Union. We joined the European Union in 95. So to me, to this young girl who was never able to travel, suddenly my home village was international. And the borders were open.
The Big Apple.
Yeah. And for me, it was like, oh, wow, now I'm going to travel. And at the same time, also, Elisabeth Rehn was running as a president, the first female president candidate in Finland. So being a 14, 15-year-old Finnish woman or Finnish girl from tiny village, having all these things happening in a big world around, that opened the doors for me.
Yeah. It seems like stars aligned and they create for you a path like this is where you have to go.
Yeah. Actually, in my book, I do tell this story that my grandfather, he had like 40, 50 different dolls in a book on a bookshelf, and he always told me that the dolls were from the different countries or places where he visited. So I had this thought in my mind that my grandfather, who was in a war also, that he had been traveling a lot. But then when he passed away, my father told me that my grandfather was better storyteller than how it really was.
But it let you dream. Yeah.
But maybe that made me dream. Yeah.
And then you went to hotel business in Thailand. Was it a choice? Was it a happening?
Well, I need to tell a short part between there, because then when I moved away from Haukivuori when I was 17 years old. So when I was able to go and study, I went to study. And I studied abroad. I went to study in Spain. I had studied German, and I was supposed to go to study in Germany. But when I was around my 20s, Germany didn't sound interesting at all. Spain sounded like, ooh, wow, that's where I want to go. So I went to study in Spain without knowing a single word of Spanish. That was one adventure also, but probably tells a lot about my mentality, how I work.
Indeed.
Let's just decide and do. And I really never was someone who would enjoy sitting in a school bench. I always thought that I knew better than teachers. I was quite problematic student. So already when I was studying at Lahti Polytechnic, I was more traveling than studying. My ex-husband, nowadays boyfriend that time, he studied in US, in Hungary, in Sweden, and then he moved to work in Brazil because of their family business. So I was kind of like traveling back and forth, and then in one point we decided to go backpacking in Asia with 5,000 euro budget. We were not planning to stay in Thailand at all because we had had one holiday in Thailand before. But then all these things happened and we just kind of went with the flow, found ourselves from this most beautiful beach we've ever seen in Khanom in southern Thailand out of mass tourism. That time, ex-husband Atte, he was living in Brazil, and all of our holidays, they had been in Caribbean area. So we've seen gorgeous beaches. And never I thought that something like this could be in Thailand. But when we first morning woke up in this beach called Khanom, 9 kilometers long, absolutely nothing there, I felt like we're in home. I'm in home. And that's how it started. We started to ask land prices and
permissions and so.
Well, first we started to ask prices for the land, and which was actually surprising what like pre-thought people has from Thailand. In southern Thailand, women are the wealthier ones because back in history, boys heritage all this land that you can grow something from the mountains, from the inner lands, and girls were given beach land because there was no worth for it.
Yeah.
You cannot grow anything
There was
on
no
a beach.
tourism. Yes.
Yeah, but then the tourism boom
It turned out to
came
be
in
a better
70s,
strategy.
and suddenly the women and girls, they are the ones who has all the money in southern Thailand. So we were asking land prices, and it was quite surprising that it was always women who were doing the sales. Of course, then, because it's a very masculine country, the men came to do the final.
The officialities.
Exactly. But mentality in southern Thailand is totally different than in north, or than in Pattaya or in Phuket, because of this wealth issue.
Yeah.
And the first, what we got the idea of the land prices, it was like reasonable. Like, okay, there's no people, there's no Westerners. No one had yet built anything big there. Just like some tiny Thai-style bungalows and resorts. But 9 kilometers long beach and absolutely nothing there. Just like cattle of cows. Like, I was like, what is this? It must be a good investment to buy land from place like that, because there is 2 airports close by. There's Suratani and Nakhon Si Thammarat airports, both in about 1 hour drive from ours. And from our beach, we can see Koh Samui Island. It's like 30 kilometers by air. And we are on the Gulf of Siam. On the other side, Phuket and Krabi, they both are in about 3-4 hour drive from us. So we were thinking that it must be a good idea.
Yeah.
Good investment to buy land from there. And first it was that kind of thought. But then we couldn't agree anything. There was this one land that had Chinese cemetery on that they were trying to sell to us. But luckily the locals told me that no one would ever come to that land. No one would ever do any business on that. You would never get any worker or anything because it's like ghost place. So we didn't buy that. And then we actually carried on. We just forgot the idea. We decided that, okay, we tried, but it didn't go as we thought, or we kind of started to wish already. So we left Khanom and we went to Malaysia. And we were at the Pulau Langkawi. And I remember this one night when Atte, ex-husband, was on a phone for a while. And then he came. I was in a bathroom doing my makeup. We are going to party, whatever. And he said that, you know what? I think I just bought that piece of land that we were last talking about. It was this Irish-Thai couple with whom we had been negotiating, but they were asking too much. And I was like, oh, okay. His family business had just before, few months before, merged to stock exchange in Sydney. So we had some money that we could invest to this kind of project. So, with 300,000 euros, we then decided to buy a piece of land, middle of beach, middle of nowhere in Thailand. And that's when we started to then do the permissions and setting up the company and all these things. You can imagine we are on a backpacking journey. We were planning to stay 3 months in Asia. So all the clothes that we had, it was like this, really looking like dirty Western backpacker. And then suddenly we were looking for a proper lawyer and law offices and all this.
They were looking you a bit like, who are these people for real?
All the locals, they were thinking that who the hell are those people? Who are those people? But that's probably the first point when we already started to gain the respect from the locals, because we never came there. We never went to Khanom with showing that we are somehow bigger or richer or
better
than them. We were just normal backpackers. We found the most beautiful beach. And then later we wanted to took that to the Thai tourism map also.
Yeah. How is the culture? I think it's a homecoming, welcoming culture. You were saying about this respect. I think that they are kind of a giver. They like to help.
Yes. It's like mentality of the people, it behind there's Buddhism. And Buddhism bases to the giving. You want to create good, you want to give something to others. You know that by giving to others, you received good. Like, for example, Thai massage. Actually, the original Thai massage, it actually, how it's given, you give and you receive yourself. And that's...
It's a mutual service.
Exactly. And that's why I think Thai people are the best ones in hospitality industry, because it truly comes from their heart, giving. Of course, from the beginning, we had already started our hotel and business there, and we had, I think, 40 employees. But I will always remember the first morning when we had moved to our new apartment, nice beach house. And I'm like opening the curtains in the morning to see the beach. And on a balcony, there's like 30 of our employees, 6:30 a.m. in the morning, bringing us food. I'm like, this friendly, this welcoming, we don't want to be. Like we Finns, we have our...
Respect my space.
Our own space.
But I guess also you then learn to cope with the culture, and you change also for sure yourself.
The first and most important lesson that I'm trying to give to anyone who's thinking to start a business abroad is to realize that it's easier to change my attitude and my way of thinking than, for example, in Thai case, trying to teach 72 million Thais think or act differently.
Change for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's hierarchy, huge respect for the elders, age matters. All these things. I think it's beautiful that I'm able to change my Scandinavian working mentality and behavior to make it work there. Because everything actually starts from the people there.
How is the women's status in the working and in the labor market?
Like in Thailand in general, it's quite like diverse. Everything is mixed. Like, for example, if you take corporates, big corporates, there is more women in boards than in many Western countries in Thailand than in here. But because it's only wealthier people who has afford to go to good schools and have education abroad, then all these women in these higher positions, they are actually from the wealthier families. And there are not that, like we are not talking about hundreds of wealthy families in Thailand who basically run this country. So on the other hand, women are more often in high positions, and the salaries, there are no salary gap between men and women or anything like that.
Advanced.
There's like they didn't even understand in Thailand what I was talking when I was talking about difference in women and men salaries in Europe.
That's a good starting point.
Exactly. But then when not everyone has the same possibility, that's sad.
Yeah.
That's
the availability of chances to make it to move.
And Thai education system, it's just like I've born in 1980, and I think it's not on even years that my mother's went to school or my father went. It's really way behind. Yeah. Yes, they still use like violence and like what they teach I must tell, it was in kids' English book, because my kids, they started their school in local Thai school in Thai language. They are trilingual, but it was in their English book. There were like faces of people, emotions. And it was always, when it was some negative emotion, it was always black person.
No,
because
really?
Thailand is also a very racist country.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it's very racist.
Okay, weird. But I mean, good that they don't have any preconception towards women and they consider this equality. But then they are when the borders ends, then everyone is an enemy.
Yeah, but I think it's because the country has never been taken over by anyone else. It has always been independent country. It has some like self-esteem and like this kind of issues.
Rooted. Did you learn Thai?
I learned it for the level that I could do the basic daily things, but not business. And I was always ashamed that I had been living there for 10 years and I couldn't speak it on a business level. But luckily, my kids who were like, they've born and raised there, and we moved to Finland when they were 7 and 9. But they are this Scandinavian-looking blue-eyed kids, and they speak fluent Southern Thai accent, which is kind of like farmers' accent actually. Okay, so always in Bangkok, when they started their schools in these posh private schools in Bangkok, teachers were like, they speak like farmers.
Yes, so there is quite a classification inside the society that there are like poor and rich, and I guess the gap is quite big.
And that is something that I can somehow still see even in my own kids, because how they were treated as a hotel owner's kids in Hanoi or in Thailand. For a long time they saw themselves very different way.
Better people.
Well, not better people, but like they know their own value. Or like they know who they are from where they come, and they know who, like, it's weird. It's weird, but it is something how they were treated back then. Of course, in our resort, we had 60 employees to whom it was like Buddha and Thai king, and then it's us hotel owners, and then our kids.
Yeah,
that's the like hierarchy.
Yeah.
And then I took them back to Finland and Mikkeli, and now they are rooted.
Back to being humble.
Exactly. Exactly. But they also understand themselves that their lives would be totally different if we would still live in Bangkok. They themselves would see the world totally different. They would themselves think different.
Are they happy that they came back?
Yes, both of them. Both of them. Especially my youngest one, daughter. Because, in Thailand, I don't know how old they would need to be, 25, until they could go anywhere alone by themselves. They would always have nanny or someone with them.
Is it safe to go on alone?
Thailand in general, it's very safe. One of the safest countries probably. But for some reason, kids are extra caretaken, protected. And there are some kind of criminal acts that involves kids in that area, Southeast Asia in general. Okay. So behavior is totally different.
Yeah,
mentality
so
is
a good reason to be like that. How much being there and this international traveling and being exposed, how much it helped you to see what is good in Finland? So you have kind of like you have the two sides. Yeah. You see this and you can appreciate what is actually here.
Yeah, exactly. That is actually how it goes. When I left from Finland on my 20s, I was always telling people abroad that I'm European. I was even ashamed to tell that I'm Finnish. I'm from Finland because no one really knew it.
Yeah.
It was like,
Where is it?
yeah. And after living abroad, meeting all these Finns abroad, the most patriotic Finns I've met are the ones who live abroad. Because when you are away, you actually start to see and appreciate what we've got. Like, I have not met Finnish person who appreciates clean air and clean water as much as someone who has lived, well, let's say, for example, Bangkok.
Yeah. It's striking difference.
Exactly. Or then the fact that we've got nature everywhere, even here in Helsinki.
That made me exactly. I thought exactly the same. That it's something that like I appreciate like immensely about Finland, the nature and how close it is.
Exactly. Yeah. Like even if you are living in Helsinki, it's like few minutes walk and you can get into the woods.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So but that is message that is actually one reason why I am now running to the European Parliament, because Finnish people, or in general people who has lived away from their home, they see the goods and bads so different way. And Finland is so small nation that we really need that. We need to get that message. That message need to be sent out.
Yeah.
What is really good in Finland, because I can tell it the way that other Europeans could understand it.
Yeah, you can communicate. Of course, it gives you a critical point of perspective, point of view, because you have lived a lot abroad, so you have bases and you have been building routines, and you understand also the effect that country or pollution can have, or civil rights or safety. And because you are trying to make changes, and that's why you're in politics. But I guess there is also the appreciation of keeping a certain standard of living, and trying to juggle between how do we address climate change, how do we address immigration, still without compromising, but still reaching a better standard of living. And it is a really complicated game.
Totally agree with you. And we are so small nation. It's only 5.5 million of us.
Spread around a huge territory.
We do matter, but it's very difficult to get our voice to be heard. But what we do, it truly matters. Of course, if we think the European Union itself, like over 200 million people. And we, 5.5 million, are trying our best. The more important it is that we get countries like, or the Spanish or Italians to do as much as we are already doing for the, let's say, for the climate.
Yeah.
It's very important that we know how to communicate these things. One thing that I always like to raise up is education, because being a mother of 13 and 15-year-old kids, I was always answering to this question from foreigners when living in Bangkok, that how come you are educating your kids in Bangkok when you are from Finland and you have free education and it's told to be the best in the world? Okay, and that's how I thought, and that was one reason why I returned to Finland. Yeah, that my kids would get the best possible education, but it's not like that anymore. Finnish education is not even close to be what it used to be.
Yeah, it went down
like rapidly, like whoa. And I'm kind of person who always would like to look forward, look for the future, not really thinking how things were better, how it was. But education is something that Finland really should turn
Yeah.
time back and turn back in time. And
It's interesting. That's something that I've had interviews with other politicians. The game becomes much more difficult when then you are in the European Parliament, because as you were saying, a small country that is doing efforts in the climate change, concrete, following the rules, and how do you think you can get yourself heard in this crowd? How Finland and what is of course we go through then your agenda, your values, but all that you have to bring and you want to bring there has to be heard.
In general, what I think, and I think most of the people agree with me, is that politics has now so polarized. It's either right or it's left.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to communicate, to find and to do politics, find the solution when you are yelling from here and you are yelling from here. You actually don't hear each other.
No, you don't meet halfway anywhere.
You don't. And when I come from the center party, it truly means that I am from the center party. It means that I'm open and willing to discuss, open and willing to trying to find the best solution for best resolutions for Finns and for the European Union. How to get heard, or to make it clear, or make yourself someone that is listened.
Yeah, because you want to make an impact.
Yes, but you have to understand other cultures. You have to understand the mentality of the Italians. You have to understand the mentality of the Irish person. You need to know why this other person is saying what he is saying, or what is his agenda. You cannot get what you want unless you understand the opponent. And that is the reason why I think that I will be heard in the European Union, because I do understand the mentality of the other European people.
Yeah, I totally understand, and it's this agenda. It's something that in this big scheme of European Union, all the countries are working together with an agenda, but each country has its own agenda, and so that it's multiple layers, and it's like an onion that you have to peel off, but you have to understand what kind of onion you have in front of you, because communication, it's also, you can deceive, you can steer exactly what I'm giving you something here, but on the back I'm coming back in for something somewhere else. And it's a game of giving and compromising to achieve a goal.
And a lot of diplomacy.
Yeah. And you have had anyway, you have been also like a councillor in Mikkeli, city councillor. You have already a background in politics where you have, let's say, you have attuned your politic abilities. Tell us more about this, that gives more substances probably to your real experience. Yeah.
Basically, I still like to tell that I'm new in politics, because this is my first season in city council and in a city board. I'm a vice member of city board also. What I'm really proud of is that when I moved back to Mikkeli around 5 years ago, and I was running into local politics, one of my main goals was to get English IB school to Mikkeli. And now this spring, the text of trying to, let's start to figure out if it's possible. Like, let's try to find out how we could get an English or IB school into Mikkeli. I'm so proud of that. Like, my 4 years was not wasted at all. It managed to do something. But I think everyone who starts in politics starts with quite like I have my own vision. I know what is wrong and I know how it should be fixed. And
ambitious.
Yeah, very ambitious and very populistic. But as soon as you get into the decision making, first of all, you get all this material. And what I learned was that, okay, all these stupid mistakes that has been done, there has always been reasons for that. It's not just like people are stupid and they made stupid decisions. No. There's always information and decisions are based to something. So you automatically start to be a little bit more like understandable for the decisions that politicians before you had made. So first lesson to me was that, okay, yes, I have my own agenda. I think I know why things are done wrong or how they are done wrongly, but I do respect.
Yeah, I understand. Maybe you wanted I go and fix everything, but
of course,
yeah, and
of course.
that has to be the way you go in, because otherwise, I guess that this huge machine that it's really slow. I guess you were also surprised how slow it is.
Well, totally, because first, it's not even that I'm in a local, our small. Or actually, we are the biggest party in our council in Mikkeli, the Centre Party. But to make your own people to run the same thing, the same ideas with you. Yeah. Like first I had to convinced why we need the IB schools into Mikkeli.
Yeah.
And it's not because I want my own kids to go to IB school, but it's for
the greater picture.
Greater picture. It starts from your own people.
Yeah.
And then it's so important that you try to keep the cooperation. You just understand that you will not achieve anything if you are not able to cooperate with others. That's probably one reason why so many city councils are so like in big dilemmas and big problems, and they do not.
Yeah, they are stuck on their own ideas without compromising, achieving some compromise.
Yeah, but you have to understand that my way of thinking, my way of seeing things, my values are not the only values. My way of seeing world is not the one and only correct way of thinking.
Yeah.
You only learn by trying to find solution with others.
I totally agree, and I mean I can relate to this because I can keep in my head my own personal idea, and I can see a perspective that is totally different. I can understand the perspective of a racist, for example, even if I'm not far from that. But I still can understand that, and I can still like keep the ideas in my mind, and I can so relate and say like, okay, I see where you're coming from, even if I don't agree. And I guess I only thought that it comes from me also being abroad and living in a couple of different countries, and I guess that's what also you learned, because you have had to do business, you have had to face people, you had problems, you had difficulties, and you had from left to right. So that helps you. It's giving you this tools, because the challenge ahead in European Parliament, I guess that the scale of the diplomacy just bubbles up and becomes really huge.
Yeah, it's diplomacy is not only that I know how to respect other cultures, I know how to deal with, let's say, Asian. But the opponent's diplomacy might be it's like zero.
Yeah, no communication.
No communication at all. They might be like, "Bull, you Finns are." It might be stereotypes. It might be whatever. It says you are the one. Your main goal need to be to finding the best possible solutions for everyone. That's the politician's main goal. It's not about how I think, how I feel. It's about to find the solution.
Yeah, and you're working anyway for your country. That
Always.
Elects you
Always.
democratically. So
Always.
of course.
That I hope that every single Finnish parliament member candidate says that deep bottom in our heart, it's always for the Finns. It's always for the Finland.
Yeah, because you're representing your voters and you're representing certain values, a certain agenda that you propose and you want to push forward. And reading through what your internet site, for example, you speak about 5-6 different core values that you're pushing forward. This clean and ethical domestic food production. And I was thinking many of these, or Finnish entrepreneurship, Finnish forest and natural resources, and accessibility to Northern Europe, they are quite Finland-based in a perspective in which we're trying to do the best for Finland, and that's absolutely what everyone expect, because you're representing the Finnish people. But how do you think these pieces of the puzzle set into this big picture of the European Parliament, when everyone is trying to pull some ropes towards them? How do you think this can be achieved?
Well, first of all, I think that since 1995 that we've been a European Union member, when we joined, we were one of the wealthiest countries in the Union. Even though we joined European Union back then because of the overall safetyness and protection kind of way, that was the main thing. But we also had the mentality what we could give to others. And that mentality has carried on until now, today. Still, I think here in Finland, we haven't been able to even convince ourselves or tell to ourselves that things are not that well in Finland anymore. We are not doing that great.
You're not facing the reality. Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of cannot tell to others how to be when things sucks here. So we have
That is tough to
have
fix
soon
here, yeah.
Finland is facing the fact of having poor families, poor kids, because of the economical situation that we are facing. We need to change our way of acting, way of thinking in the European Union. We cannot anymore only concentrate to others. We need to change the focus into ourselves also. We need to think our own kids, our kids' education, our safety, the eastern border of the Union. That's one of my main focus for the next parliament years.
And I guess that's a topic. Well, I know it's a topic that it is for sure on everyone's agenda. Also, of course, from the NATO perspective and Finland joining NATO, it has changed a bit. Also, the dialogue. Of course, cooperation there has always been, but I think it's important to face the fact that Finland is not anymore in the situation, or is not a leader in the European Union thinking about economics or politics or education. The problem about women rights and equality, immigration. Finland is lagging behind.
Finland is actually, is it still the unsafest country for women to live in the European Union?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
And you don't read that on newspaper anywhere.
No.
Yeah.
And
true.
extremely important things to raise your voice. Trying, when we are talking about women rights, when we are talking about human rights, equality, we are actually doing things for Finland also because we are behind.
Yeah. I understand. What kind of change would you like to see? Would you like to see rules, something that some parties have been using as a propaganda, and some people think about the European Union, is that there is a higher power that is not local, giving from top down rules.
That never works. Like, change always starts from inside. Change starts from inside. If Finland is having if Finland is run by the far right people, then no one can come from above and tell us that you need to think more liberal, you need to focus to different kind of things.
Yeah.
It always comes from inside.
Yeah, I understand. For example, of course they are not mandates, but the European Union has agendas, for example, on the climate change, and they give dates and they give mandates, but they are, as also we have seen with debts and with since the Maastricht parameters, like rules are bent and countries do not follow the rules.
Except Finland.
Except Finland, yes.
Yeah. So should my like agenda be that we will not follow the rules?
Let's think about ourselves.
Let's be anarchist.
Yeah. Yeah. So then politicians have to try to figure, or we have been trying to figure out then how to follow these rules. And then if it's a right party, they approach the task in a certain way, and they make cuts or subsidies to a certain way. If there will be a left party, they do another kind of approach. But these kind of rules, they dictate, or they don't dictate, but they try to steer the community altogether.
Yeah, but that's what we are now seeing happening in Finland. That when we are, the politics is going from left to right and from right. It's like there's really no prediction for the future. Like overall feeling of safety net is actually comes from the government. Like, and I think in the union also, we should try our best to find kind of a middle way. Like for longer time of period of time, like for 10, 12, 15 years of time, so that people would have something to trust on, to rely on. And that's why it's actually good to vote for the center party.
It's true, I understand.
You see my marketing background.
Yeah. Of course, you have to do and want to know about your campaigns anyway. But that's a truth that it's undeniable, that problems that all the countries, and Finland now we're talking, but problems that we face are not possible to be solved in one mandate.
No.
We think about debt. Now we have a huge healthcare changes. Those they span, they go through multiple mandates, and then when it goes from left to right, and there is this kind of like, it's always the blame of the people before or what they left us with. It's just like impossible to work with, and it somehow mirrors a bit this American system, that it's kind of really polarized. And it is like just shout to each other, two cats fighting.
And that's not where we want Finland or the Europe to go.
Exactly, and that's, I think, that historically Finland has shown more this kind of long-term perspective. Let's all cut. We are in depression. Let's all do this because it will happen in X years that we go there. So there is this long perspective, and Finland and politicians have had, and now it seems more like, let's just think about this.
Yeah, it's just ad hoc.
Yeah,
and that's how I would like to do my politics. Like, because what is happening now in Finland with the healthcare system, for example? I'm worried how Finland will be in 10 to 15 years time, how our adults that time, how they do. Because we are now doing huge cuts on our healthcare.
Yeah.
Our kids, youngsters, young adults in 10, 15 years time, they will do really bad. So how I would like to do politics is to concentrate to that time already. How do we then fix? What do we do then? And not just thinking today, the 2 billion euros, hundreds of millions of euros, where do we get that? We need to cut from there. And no one really thinks, how about after 5 years' time? How about after 10 years' time?
Yeah, I was just reading today that was it a statistic saying that about 30% of under 30 years old people, young in Finland, they experience burnout. So it is like a third of the population, but about of new people going to work that they will most likely work for other 40 years. They are already at the start burned out.
Exactly. And I was
Yeah, that speaks of the work, but also speaks of the fact that these people are left also without services, and there are queues for if you want to have therapies or psychological help, for example. So it's not even a bottleneck; it's now a wall.
And many candidates for the parliament also says that okay, let's ban TikTok. Like banning the TikTok is the solution for this huge mental problem issue. It's not. It's something so much bigger, so much deeper that we should go into. But first of all, I do not think that politicians are the ones who finds the solution for our mental health, youngsters' mental health problem. The solution comes from the professionals and from the youngsters themselves. Riikka Purra, Minister of the Money, she will not find the solution for this problem.
Yeah.
It's not we only just stamp the decisions that the professionals needs to create for us.
Yeah, you have to have an entourage of people that they propose you. But that's the way I hope it's working.
I hope so.
Because otherwise we're really in big trouble.
No, last night at the news, I saw the list of the schools where the unhappiest and most depressed kids are, and I think it was number 4. It was my previous school from my home village.
Yeah.
The school where I went to. When I just felt like living in a happy tiny box.
Yeah.
No
worry.
I didn't have worries at all. And now it's totally...
Not in one generation.
It totally changed. It's so sad. And as a local politician, I feel like, should I go there to be a therapist or what? What should I do trying to help these youngsters?
So you see these many problems and these multi-faced problems, and this gave you the idea that you can actually do in politics something on a wider scale.
I have to. I strongly believe that first of all, I'm very lucky to be born in Finland, to be a Finnish woman, to have this voice, to be brave enough to use that voice, and I have to use it for good. It is something that I believe in my heart that this is my path. I was chosen to do this. I have to do something good.
And also some of the stories you were telling, they speak of the fact that you, when you set on something and you have a dream, you follow through and you make it happen. So the fuel for your work comes from a certain kind of dream. Go and chase that. Because you will find quite, I believe you will find so many walls or obstacles in politics in the parliament. For me, from my point of view, it doesn't look like such a friendly place in the sense that like you have to be really patient.
But world is not friendly place. It's how you create your own space then. And what you said is actually something that every single person or my friends, how they would describe me, is that Kati is the person who, no matter how the obstacle is, she will find the way, either go through or somehow find the way to pass it. And I hope, because that's how democracy works. That's how it really works. That there are those people, that kind of people who wants to use their energy, their time, what they know, their know-how for the good, for the others. And then people really would go to vote because we do need that. That's how democracy works. Yeah. Otherwise, we would have some other kind of system. And I do not think that the other systems would be better than democracy.
Yeah. Some have shown to be really terrible.
Exactly.
But you were saying, you were commenting that you see and polls that are pulled, they say that the center party it's getting traction. Do you think it speaks of this polarization and the fact that people are annoyed by the fact that the discourse is not on a solution? Or what do you think? Do you think it's more this approach that also you are having, that it's more you are Finnish, you have this, as I was saying, points that you want to push forward, that they are quite based in Finland, about Finland, but still you are not crossing the line of being a popular party that would be, I don't know, like perussuomalaiset. So do you think it's exactly this kind of balance of the center?
It is the balance. Our party represents balance. We've always been for the quite tight economics, but also it has always been on our agenda that everyone is taken care of. But how we do politics, it has always based to the facts and to the communication, respecting others. And how my friends who live in Helsinki and see the politics a bit different, even they send me messages nowadays saying that we do need center party to this madness. Because there's no conversation. It's this American way of doing politics. It's not Finnish way of doing politics. It makes us look stupid, but it also makes us feel stupid. Like...
Yeah, I don't have a long history of 16 years only in Finland, and so politics, it's probably I have not learned enough, but I do see that this kind of change, and it is worrisome in the sense that of course happenings in the world, COVID, the war, there are things that have been challenging, and they would have been challenging for whatever party, and depth with what we have and what it is. So definitely we start from a cripple point, but the attitude you have then towards that and these issues, it matters how then the come out would be. And I personally see, for example, I still wonder how it can be done, this differentiation between good and bad immigrants, and yes, immigrants and no immigrants, when we have plenty of data and companies are shouting for people, and healthcare is shouting for people, and education is shouting for people. It's I understand that things move really slowly, but it's clear that something has to be done. And of course, it's also in the European, the mobility and the immigration. It is a topic that is really important also in the European Parliament, and then of course applied or changed in the internal politics of Finland. What do you think Finland can do or European Union can do on this matter? Because we're talking about anyway equality of opportunities, possibilities, and integration, immigration, and then concerning the work and workplace and equality of people coming, women or not, black, white, whatever color. It is it's a chain of problems that they are one behind the other.
Yeah, it's already in fundamentalism of European Union that people are treated equally.
Should be.
Should be. Union has not really managed well on that. It's not only Finland where population is getting old. It's not only Finland that needs employees,
Indeed.
that needs people. It doesn't matter if we get every single Finnish unemployment to work. Still, it's not enough of the people who we need to carry on with this system. To have this welfare, this social security.
One day, one pension.
We need people. And I do not understand how this government can do this kind of decisions that somehow immigration is making more difficult, or somehow it's not understood. Because there's no every single statistic that you see, that you are given about our population, about our businesses. We just need people here. And it's not only Finland. It's every single country in the European Union that has the same issue. Okay, then if we need people, when we need people, then we need to find a way how. Of course, if we are talking about terms like illegal immigration, well, it's already there. It's illegal.
Yeah. It's defined. Yeah. Of course.
The definition already tells that it's illegal. But we just cannot avoid the fact that we will not survive. Union will not survive. We will not have this education, this social security if we don't get more people.
This living, the status or the that we are living now and how we are using resources, it will not continue, cannot continue this way.
But I was away from Finland between 2008 2019. When I got back, when I left 2008, Finland was really like open for the Europe, like open to the world. We had businesses like Nokia. We had even in Mikkeli, we had companies that were doing a lot of export, and we were international. Then I got back 2019, and somehow Finland had got so much smaller. Actually, our country had become racist.
Yeah.
Well, I do not talk about Helsinki or Tampere. I'm talking about from outside Kehä kolmonen.
Yeah.
And those were the years when perussuomalaiset had actually gone. They've become one of the biggest parties.
Yeah, with Timo Soini.
Like, also our economy, our economy had not developed at all. Because we took steps backwards. I had been living in Southeast Asia for those 10 years, and Southeast Asia was really blooming. Everything was just like going further with big speed. And then I got back to Finland, and it was like nothing had happened except nowadays. Even my kids were talking English at the market square in Mikkeli. They were talking in English to each others, and local kids yelled to them in Finnish, "Go back to your home countries." And I was like, "Oh my God, this is not Finland."
Yeah.
But that's something really sad had happened in Finland. And that Finland is not the Finland from where I left, and that is not the Finland that I want to left for my kids.
That's not the Finland I want to live in. That's what is happening now. How busy is the life of a candidate for parliament?
I hope exciting. Busy. I hope busy.
Yeah.
We have talked with kids that we would move to Brussels because first of all, I believe that being a parliament member, you have to do a lot of lobbying outside the business hours. You have to live there to make sure that everybody knows how Finland thinks about anything what you are planning there.
Yeah.
What will be the Finland or my answer to your successions. So we would be living in Brussels. Kids would go to international schools, as they've already been in Bangkok. And yeah, it would be busy working hours.
That's I guess also what drives you, like what gives you energy.
Yeah, I would be so bored if I would know that that my schedule would be free for next week. I would be like, oh,
panicking. No, what's wrong with me?
Yeah, then my energy level would go like, oh.
So, if we end up, what do you promise to the people that will vote for you, and make some kind of like a final speech, if you would, to concise, to put together like what you are driving through, like what you want to drive through the European Union in favor of Finland and for the development of this, of all the countries that belong to the European Union?
It doesn't need to be that long speech, but I would promise to be loud voice for Finns and for Finland. Truly thinking Finland first. Doing it with diplomacy, with respect, and with understanding by communicating. But I would show to everyone how proud I am from my Finnish roots, and I would be the best lobber for Finnish companies and for Finns in the union.
Thank you, Kati. I think it's the energy that you also brought here. I can feel it, and I can feel the willingness you have to put forward this agenda. And I like your dreaming and chasing and doing. You're a doer, but with values behind it. I really hope you have success, and I'm really happy that that you want to bring Finland and the voice of Finland louder in this mess that would be the European Parliament. And hope you will have success, because it will be a success for everyone.
Next interview you will do in Brussels. We will do it in Brussels.
All right, can't wait.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.